They've been lying to you for 40 years. And right now, at this very moment, it's quietly burning through the walls of your arteries like acid through tissue paper. I'm Dr. Ryan Mitchell, and what I'm about to expose tonight could be the most important thing you hear before your next meal. Because there's an ingredient hiding inside foods that 94% of American seniors eat every single day. Foods sitting in your pantry right now. Foods your doctor probably told you were perfectly fine. Foods marketed as wholesome, comforting, even heart-healthy. And this ingredient, one the food industry has known about since 1994, is directly linked to accelerated arterial damage, chronic inflammation, cardiac cell death, and silent heart attacks in adults over 60. Its name is acrylamide. And by the time this video ends, you will never look at your kitchen the same way again. In 2002, researchers at Stockholm University discovered something that sent shockwaves through the global food science community. They found that acrylamide, already classified as a probable human carcinogen by the World Health Organization, forms naturally inside some of the most commonly consumed foods in America every single time those foods are cooked at high temperatures. Fried, baked, roasted, toasted. The higher the heat, the more acrylamide forms. The more acrylamide forms, the more enters your bloodstream. And once it's there, it doesn't politely leave. It binds to your red blood cells. It attacks the proteins lining your arterial walls. It triggers oxidative stress that cardiologists now recognize as one of the primary accelerators of cardiovascular disease in seniors over 65. The FDA knew, the food industry knew, and instead of warning the American public, instead of putting a single word on the packaging of foods delivering this chemical directly into your body, they buried it. Why? Because the snack food industry alone generates over $108 billion annually in the United States. Potato chips, crackers, breakfast cereals, bread, French fries, coffee, roasted nuts. These are the delivery vehicles for acrylamide. If the American public truly understood what this chemical was doing to the cardiovascular system of every senior consuming it daily, that industry would collapse overnight. So they stayed quiet. They funded counter-research. They lobbied the FDA to keep labeling requirements vague. They made sure your doctor's continuing education never included a single lecture on dietary acrylamide and cardiac risk. And they kept selling you the same foods in the same bright packaging with the same heart-healthy check marks on the front. Before we go further, if you're a senior over 60 who believes you deserve the full truth about what's in your food, not just whatever keeps food corporations profitable, hit that subscribe button right now and turn on all notifications. Every subscriber sends a direct signal that this information matters, that people are waking up, that the suppression isn't working anymore. Only the people profiting from your ignorance won't subscribe. Drop a comment right now telling me your age and what state you're watching from. Let's show them exactly how many of us are done being lied to. Acrylamide is not added to your food. The food industry will tell you that when cornered. And technically it's true. Acrylamide forms inside food during cooking. Specifically, it forms when foods rich in a naturally occurring amino acid called asparagine are exposed to temperatures above 248 degrees Fahrenheit. That process is called the Maillard reaction. It's the same chemical process creating the golden brown color on your toast, the crispy texture of your French fries, the dark roast of your morning coffee. That appetizing color and crunch you've been chasing your whole life, that's the visual signature of acrylamide formation. Here's what it does inside a body over 60. Stage 1. Entry and binding. Acrylamide is absorbed rapidly through your gastrointestinal tract. Within minutes, it's in your bloodstream, metabolizing into a compound called glycitamide, which is even more biologically reactive. Both compounds bind directly to hemoglobin, the protein inside your red blood cells responsible for carrying oxygen to your heart and brain. Stage 2. Arterial wall assault. Your arteries are lined with a single layer of extraordinarily sensitive cells called the endothelium. It regulates blood pressure, prevents clot formation, and controls inflammation. When acrylamide binds to proteins in this lining, it triggers endothelial dysfunction, a breakdown in your arterial wall's ability to regulate itself. Think of your arterial lining like a non-stick coating on a pan. Endothelial dysfunction is what happens when that coating starts scratching off. Plaque adheres more easily. Inflammation accelerates. Clots form faster. In seniors whose arterial walls are already thinner and less elastic, this damage reaches critical thresholds far faster than in younger adults. Stage 3. Oxidative cascade. Acrylamide is a pro-oxidant. It increases free radical production inside your cells, including the mitochondria inside your cardiac muscle cells, the actual power generators of your heartbeat. When cardiac cell mitochondrial function declines, your heart works harder to achieve the same output. Over months and years, this contributes directly to the cardiac fatigue that precedes heart failure. Stage 4. Inflammation amplification. A 2020 study published in Food and Chemical Toxicology found that high dietary acrylamide exposure significantly elevated C-reactive protein, interleukin-6, and tumor necrosis factor alpha, the exact inflammatory markers cardiologists look for when assessing heart attack risk. Seniors over 65 already produce higher baseline levels of these markers simply due to age. Dietary acrylamide doesn't just add to the fire, it pours gasoline on a fire already burning. Now I'm going to show you exactly where acrylamide is hiding in your daily diet. Ranked from significant to catastrophic. I guarantee at least 3 of these are in your kitchen right now. Your doctor told you to eat nuts. Every heart health magazine has been pushing almonds, walnuts, and cashews as cardiovascular superfoods for 2 decades. Raw nuts? They actually are beneficial. High in healthy fats, vitamin E, magnesium, real protective value. But roasted nuts are a completely different food. When manufacturers roast nuts at temperatures between 320 and 390 degrees Fahrenheit, asparagine undergoes the Maillard reaction throughout the entire nut. A 2008 analysis in the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry found roasted almonds containing acrylamide levels up to 1925 micrograms per kilogram. Most seniors eating nuts as a heart-healthy snack consume 2 to 3 ounces daily, every single day. What to do? Buy raw nuts exclusively. If you want warmth or crunch, lightly toast them at home below 250 degrees Fahrenheit for no more than 5 minutes. You get the texture. You slash acrylamide formation by over 60%. Source number 5. Breakfast cereals and crackers. This one is going to hurt, because your morning routine may be the most dangerous part of your day. Breakfast cereals marketed specifically to seniors with words like heart-healthy, whole-grain, fiber-rich are produced through extrusion, grain forced through machines under extreme pressure, then exposed to temperatures exceeding 300 degrees Fahrenheit to create familiar shapes and flakes. The FDA's own Total Diet study found acrylamide in 100% of ready-to-eat breakfast cereals tested. Every single brand, including the ones with the American Heart Association checkmark on the box. Meet Harold, a 74-year-old retired school principal from Georgia, meticulous about his health. Every morning for 11 years, he started his day with 2 bowls of whole grain cereal and a handful of roasted almonds. His cardiologist kept finding elevated inflammatory markers, but couldn't identify the source. His C-reactive protein was consistently high, despite optimal medication management. Nobody asked Harold what he ate for breakfast. Not once. Not in 11 years. When I explained the acrylamide connection, Harold wasn't scared. He was furious. Because for 11 years he'd been doing exactly what the packaging told him was healthy, while quietly damaging the arterial walls his heart depended on. What to do? Replace extruded cereals with steel-cut oats cooked on the stovetop at low heat. Below 212 degrees Fahrenheit, negligible acrylamide forms. Replace crackers with raw vegetable sticks or lightly steamed options. Source number 4. Toast and baked bread products. This is the morning ritual of virtually every American senior alive. Toast. Simple, humble, universal. When bread is toasted, asparagine reacts with reducing sugars at high temperatures to form acrylamide. The darker the toast, the higher the concentration. A 2017 advisory from the UK's Food Standards Agency specifically warned that darkly toasted bread represented a significant dietary acrylamide source and advised toasting to light golden color only. That advisory barely made headlines in the United States. The bread industry lobbied hard to keep it quiet here, so the warning stayed across the Atlantic while American seniors kept burning their toast every morning, completely unaware. Most seniors over 70 eat toast every single morning, sometimes twice daily. That's 730 instances of acrylamide exposure per year minimum from a single food habit. What to do? Toast bread to the lightest color you can tolerate. Pale gold only. If you see significant browning, the acrylamide is already formed. Better yet, transition to sourdough eaten without toasting. The fermentation process reduces asparagine levels in the bread before it ever reaches heat, meaning even lightly toasted sourdough produces significantly less acrylamide than conventional toasted white or wheat bread. If you're realizing that what you thought was a healthy routine has been quietly damaging your heart for years, I need you to do something right now. Smash that like button. Not for me, for Harold. For every senior doing everything right according to the label and still ending up with elevated inflammatory markers and unexplained cardiac events. The food industry monitors engagement on videos like this. They track it. They report to executives quarterly. When they see seniors awake, angry, and sharing this information, they escalate suppression. Every like you send is a direct message that their suppression is failing. Comment awake below right now if you've already mentally flagged something in your kitchen based on what you've learned. Let's see how many of us are done being treated like revenue sources instead of human beings. Source number 3, French fries and fried potato products. This is where the acrylamide story becomes genuinely criminal. Potatoes are extraordinarily high in asparagine. When you submerge an asparagine-rich food in oil heated to 350 degrees Fahrenheit or above, you create the most efficient acrylamide production environment in the entire human food supply. A large order of fast food French fries contains between 1,000 and 1,500 micrograms of acrylamide per kilogram. Potato chips average between 1,200 and 2,300 micrograms. The European Food Safety Authority set a benchmark level of concern at 1,000 micrograms per kilogram in 2015. Potato chips exceed that benchmark in the majority of commercial brands tested. Here's the criminal part. The potato chip and fast food industries have known about these acrylamide levels since 2002. A coalition including Frito-Lay, McDonald's, and Wendy's was sued by the California Attorney General in 2005 for failing to warn consumers under California's Proposition 65. Several companies settled, paid fines, made modest reformulation efforts, and kept selling. Because the profit margin on potato chips is approximately 60%. A fine is cheaper than reformulation. Reformulation is cheaper than honesty. Meet Dorothy, a 71-year-old widow from Tennessee, independent, sharp, drove herself everywhere. Her one indulgence was a small bag of potato chips every afternoon with her tea. 15 years, she thought it was harmless. Dorothy had a silent heart attack at 3:22 in the morning, 18 months ago. The cardiac catheterization revealed significant atherosclerotic plaque in 2 major coronary arteries. Her cardiologist told the family the degree of arterial inflammation suggested chronic long-term exposure to a cardiovascular irritant. Nobody connected it to the chips. Nobody mentioned acrylamide. Nobody told Dorothy that her afternoon ritual had been delivering one of the most potent dietary sources of arterial damage into her bloodstream every day for 15 years. Dorothy is alive, She's on 4 cardiac medications. She can't drive anymore. The independence she'd guarded so carefully was taken from her, and a bag of potato chips was part of how. What to do? Eliminate fried potato products entirely. If you want potato, bake it whole below 320 degrees Fahrenheit. Boiling potatoes produces virtually no acrylamide because water-based cooking never reaches the formation temperature threshold. Source number 2, dark roast coffee. I know, I already know what you're thinking, and I'm genuinely sorry. But you need to hear this. Coffee consumption among seniors over 65 is nearly universal, and legitimate research does show cardiovascular benefits from moderate coffee consumption. Antioxidants, anti-inflammatory compounds, improved insulin sensitivity. That research is real, but here's what it almost never specifies, because the coffee industry funds a significant portion of it. The roast level matters catastrophically. During roasting, asparagine and reducing sugars in green coffee beans undergo the Maillard reaction at temperatures between 400 and 80 degrees Fahrenheit. The longer and hotter the roast, the more acrylamide forms. Dark roast coffee contains up to 40% more acrylamide than light roast, and the coffee marketed most aggressively to seniors, bold, full-flavored, robust, is almost universally dark roasted. A study in food additives and contaminants found instant coffee contained the highest acrylamide concentrations of all, sometimes exceeding 1,000 micrograms per kilogram. Instant coffee is disproportionately consumed by seniors because of its convenience. Convenient, affordable, and delivering some of the highest acrylamide doses in the American food supply directly into a body that can least afford it. What to do? Switch to light roast coffee brewed at 195 to 200 degrees Fahrenheit. Limit to 1 to 2 cups daily. Drink it with food, never on an empty stomach. The combination of acrylamide and blood sugar elevation compounds oxidative stress on arterial walls in ways that are genuinely dangerous for seniors over 70. Before we get to the single most dangerous source of acrylamide in the American senior diet, take 30 seconds right now. Share this video with one person over 60 in your life. Your spouse, your neighbor, your best friend from church. Not later, right now while it's in front of you. YouTube will never show them this video. It will show them advertisements for the exact breakfast cereals and roasted snack products delivering acrylamide into their body every morning. The only path around that system is you, person to person, human to human. One share might be the reason someone's heart is still beating 3 years from now. That is not marketing language. That is the plain truth. Source number 1, the most dangerous daily acrylamide source in your kitchen. Everything I've told you so far pales in comparison to the cumulative daily acrylamide assault coming from this single source. And you're going to feel genuinely betrayed when I tell you what it is. Because it's not junk food. It's not something you feel guilty about. It's something you've been preparing for your family your entire adult life. Something sitting at the center of American senior comfort food culture. It's the combination of high-heat home cooking methods applied to everyday staple foods, specifically roasting, baking at high temperatures, and broiling starchy vegetables, poultry, and grain-based casseroles in your own kitchen. When you roast sweet potatoes at 400 degrees until caramelized and slightly charred at the edges, you're creating a significant acrylamide load in a food you believe is extremely nutritious. When you bake a casserole at 375 degrees until the breadcrumb topping is deep golden brown, you're generating acrylamide throughout that topping with every additional minute above the threshold temperature. When you broil Brussels sprouts until darkly charred because you like the texture, you're creating acrylamide in vegetables that would otherwise be genuinely protective. The acrylamide problem isn't only about processed food. That's exactly what the food industry wants you to believe. They want you focused on potato chips and fast food, so you never examine what's happening in your own oven. because they can't sell you a solution to your own cooking habits. But they can keep selling you processed alternatives while you believe home cooking is always safe. A comprehensive assessment published in the European Journal of Nutrition in 2021 found that home-cooked meals using high-heat dry cooking methods accounted for up to 38% of total dietary acrylamide exposure in adults over 60 who reported already avoiding processed snack foods. 38% from home cooking, from meals made with love and genuine intention. Meet Ruth, a 78-year-old great-grandmother from Ohio. Sharp, energetic, cooked every meal from scratch her entire life. Never ate fast food, never bought potato chips. Couldn't understand why her cardiologist kept finding elevated inflammatory markers despite her clean diet. When I walked through her cooking methods, the picture became clear immediately. Ruth roasted vegetables at 425 degrees. She broiled chicken until the skin was deeply crispy. She baked oatmeal cookies at 375 degrees until thoroughly golden because she liked them crispy. Ruth wasn't eating badly. Ruth was cooking at temperatures systematically generating acrylamide in otherwise excellent food choices. We changed her cooking methods, not her ingredients, not her recipes, just the temperatures and techniques. Roasting dropped to 300 degrees for longer periods. Steaming replaced broiling 3 nights a week. Chicken was cooked to safe internal temperature without pushing for maximum crispiness. Within 8 weeks, her C-reactive protein levels dropped measurably. Her cardiologist commented at her next appointment that her inflammatory markers had improved more than he'd typically seen with medication adjustments. When Ruth told him what she'd changed, he paused for a long moment. Then he said, "I've never thought about cooking temperature as a cardiac variable. That is the problem. In its entirety. Right there. The 8-step protection protocol starting tonight. This does not require expensive supplements, new prescriptions, or overhauling everything you eat. It requires understanding and adjustment. Here is exactly what to do. Rule 1. Lower your oven temperature by 50 to 75 degrees and extend cooking time accordingly. Food cooked at 300 degrees for 40 minutes produces dramatically less acrylamide than food cooked at 400 degrees for 25 minutes. The internal temperature reaches the same safe level. The surface never spikes high enough for aggressive acrylamide formation. Rule 2. Embrace water-based cooking methods. Boiling, steaming, poaching, and slow cooking in liquid never reach acrylamide formation temperatures because water caps the cooking environment at 212 degrees Fahrenheit. A slow cooker on low setting is one of the most acrylamide protective tools in your kitchen. Rule 3. Store potatoes at room temperature, never in the refrigerator. Cold storage converts potato starch to sugar, dramatically increasing asparagine levels and acrylamide formation potential during cooking. Rule 4. Switch from dark roast to light roast coffee. 1 cup in the morning with food. This single change meaningfully reduces your daily acrylamide load without eliminating coffee's legitimate antioxidant benefits. Rule 5. Replace roasted nuts with raw nuts stored in the refrigerator. The cardiovascular benefit of nuts comes from fat and micronutrient profile, not from roasting. You lose nothing nutritionally and eliminate a daily acrylamide source entirely. Rule 6. Toast bread to pale gold only. If you see significant browning, the acrylamide is already formed. Transition towards sourdough eaten without toasting whenever possible. Rule 7. Add these protective compounds to your daily diet. Research and Nutrition Reviews 2022 identified dietary compounds that actively neutralize acrylamide's oxidative effects. Vitamin C from whole citrus fruits, sulforaphane from lightly steamed broccoli and cauliflower, polyphenols from raw blueberries and blackberries, omega-3 fatty acids from wild-caught salmon twice weekly. These are foods, real foods your body absorbs efficiently and uses to repair endothelial damage that acrylamide exposure creates over time. Rule 8. Ask your doctor for a high-sensitivity C-reactive protein test, also called HSCRP. This blood test measures systemic inflammation, the primary cardiovascular risk associated with chronic acrylamide exposure. It is covered by Medicare. If your levels are elevated and your doctor cannot identify the source, bring this research to the appointment. The Food and Chemical Toxicology 2020 paper, the European Journal of Nutrition 2021 study, the FDA's Total Diet Study data. These are peer-reviewed mainstream findings sitting in publicly accessible journals that your doctor has simply never been directed to read. A physician who dismisses this evidence isn't practicing current medicine. Find one who will. The conversation your doctor should be having with you. Here is the uncomfortable institutional truth. American medical education dedicates significant curriculum time to pharmaceutical cardiovascular intervention. Statins, beta blockers, blood thinners, ACE inhibitors. The average American medical school dedicates less than 25 hours total across the entire 4-year curriculum to nutrition science. Less than 25 hours to teach future doctors about the primary mechanism through which most Americans damage their cardiovascular systems. Acrylamide is not covered in standard cardiology continuing education. There is no pharmaceutical company funding research into dietary acrylamide reduction because there is no drug to sell for it. The solution is behavioral. The solution is free. And a healthcare system built on reimbursement for procedures and prescriptions has no financial incentive to prevent the conditions it gets paid to treat. That is not a conspiracy theory. That is the documented economic structure of American healthcare. It means that you, right now, are more informed about dietary acrylamide and cardiovascular risk than the vast majority of general practitioners currently seeing patients across this country. You have the right to walk into your doctor's office and say, I want my HSCRP tested, I want to discuss dietary acrylamide exposure, and I need you to take this seriously. If they look at you blankly, hand them the studies. If they dismiss you, find a physician who practices integrative or functional medicine. Doctors focused on root cause rather than symptom management are far more likely to be current on the dietary science that standard cardiology training ignores. Your life is worth the second opinion. The choice in front of you tonight. You came into this video not knowing what acrylamide was. You're leaving it, knowing it's been inside your food for decades, that the food industry has known and stayed silent, that the medical establishment was never taught to address it, that the damage it causes to aging arterial walls is documented, measurable, and real. You now know more about this specific threat to your heart than most doctors practicing medicine in America today. Starting tonight, you can lower your oven temperature, switch your coffee roast, buy raw nuts instead of roasted, toast your bread to pale gold, add blueberries and steamed broccoli to meals you are already going to eat. Call your doctor tomorrow and ask for an HSCRP test. None of that costs money. None of that requires a prescription. None of that is difficult. It only requires that you believe your heart is worth protecting, that the decades it has spent beating over 2 billion times to keep you alive deserve to be met with the same faithfulness in return. Your independence is worth this. Your mornings are worth this. The grandchildren you want to watch grow up, the trips you haven't taken yet, the ordinary Tuesday afternoons you want to keep having, they are all worth this. The food industry bet you would never find out, that you would keep buying the chips and the dark roast and the breakfast cereals because nobody would ever connect them to the quiet damage happening inside your arteries. They were wrong. You found out. Now do something with it. Before you close this video, 3 things. 1. Subscribe and turn on every notification. The food industry actively monitors and flags health content threatening their revenue. Videos like this get reported. Creators get suppressed. Your subscription is the only protection against that. Only the people profiting from your cardiovascular damage won't subscribe. Which side of this are you on? 2. Comment the word protected below. if you're committing to even one protocol change starting tonight. Not all 8, just one. One step away from the damage and one step toward the additional years your heart is still capable of giving you. I read every single comment. This is not content to me. This is a mission. 3. Share this video right now with someone you love who is over 60. While it's still in front of you. The algorithm will never put this in front of them. YouTube will show them advertisements for the exact breakfast cereals and roasted snacks, delivering acrylamide into their body every single morning. The only path around that system is you. One share might be the reason someone's heart is still beating 3 years from now. In the next video, I'm revealing the 5 breakfast foods that 87% of American seniors eat every morning, thinking they're protecting their heart. Foods doctors recommend. Foods served in hospital cafeterias and nursing homes nationwide. Foods triggering silent inflammatory cascades before you finish your first cup of coffee. Number 3 is going to make you angry in the best possible way. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. Stay strong, stay informed. And starting tonight, cook a little cooler. Your heart will feel the difference.